You may look at your life and think you messed up somewhere. Maybe you believe you should have chosen a different job, a different partner, a different path entirely. You build this fantasy version of yourself who made all the right choices and then torture yourself by comparing your real life to that imaginary one. But that storyline is built on assumptions, not facts. You can't prove that your alternate life would have been better. You don't even know if it would have made you happier or wiser. It's just a convenient place to escape to. The reality is simpler and harder. You are exactly where all past causes and conditions have placed you. Your upbringing, habits, fears, hopes, decisions, luck, timing, everything combined to create the moment you're in right now. Thinking it's a mistake doesn't change a single part of it. Life doesn't rewind itself because you feel regret. The point isn't to shame yourself or to shrug and say, oh well. The point is to stop wasting energy on a life that doesn't exist. When you stay stuck in I should be somewhere else, you lose the ability to deal with where you actually are, and the present moment is the only place you can make real choices, real changes, and real progress. Once you drop the fantasy timeline, you can finally work with the life in front of you, not the life you imagine, not the life you think you deserve, but the life that's real, and that's the only place transformation ever happens. 1. Your circumstances are not a mistake. You look at your life and assume something went wrong. You replay decisions from years ago, running the same mental movie over and over, trying to pinpoint the exact moment you messed up. You convince yourself that if you had taken a different job, trusted a different person, moved to a different place, or made one smarter decision, you'd be living a completely different and better life right now. That story feels believable because regret is seductive. It gives you a sense of control over the past, but it's still fiction. You're comparing your real situation to a fantasy that has no evidence behind it. Your circumstances aren't accidental, unfair, or off track. They're the result of causes and conditions coming together. Your habits, reactions, fears, desires, upbringing, environment, opportunities, timing, and choices, both conscious and unconscious. None of this means your life is perfect, or that you should passively accept everything. It simply means your situation is real. It's here, and wishing it were different doesn't change it. That's the part people don't want to face. It's easier to blame a wrong turn than to deal with the fact that this is your starting point, whether you like it or not. Buddhism doesn't indulge the idea of a supposed-to-be life. It doesn't care about what your life would look like in some alternate universe where everything aligned exactly the way you wanted. The only path that matters is the one you're standing on at this moment. If you constantly daydream about a different life, you weaken your ability to handle the one you actually have. Regret becomes a distraction. Fantasy becomes an escape, and you end up stuck. Not because your situation is impossible, but because you're refusing to meet it head-on. When you drop the emotional weight of I should be somewhere else, something important happens. Clarity shows up. You stop comparing your current life to a hypothetical one and start seeing what's actually in front of you. You recognize which problems are genuine and which ones are created by your resistance. You begin to notice possibilities you were blind to because you were too busy mourning a life that never existed. This isn't about settling. It's about finally stepping into reality so you can work with it. You can't change direction while refusing to stand on the ground beneath you. You can't grow while pretending your circumstances shouldn't be what they are. And you can't move forward while mentally living in a timeline that only exists in your imagination. Your circumstances aren't a mistake, they're your training ground, your current set of conditions to learn from, struggle through, and rise above. The moment you accept that, not emotionally but practically, you unlock the ability to act. You stop wasting time on regret and start using your energy to make actual progress. You understand that this moment, as imperfect as it feels, is the only place your path can begin. Everything starts here, not in the life you wish you had, but in the life you're actually living. 2. The present moment exposes your mind. You keep imagining that if you were in a different situation, better job, calmer relationships, more money, less stress, you'd finally be at peace. But that's a lie you tell yourself to avoid seeing what's actually going on inside you. The truth is brutally simple. The present moment exposes your mind, and that's why you're trying so hard to escape it. Whatever frustrates you right now isn't the real problem. The real problem is the reaction it triggers inside you. The anxiety, the anger, the impatience, the insecurity, those were already there. Your circumstances didn't create them, they just revealed them. And instead of facing those reactions directly, you blame the situation and try to imagine a version of your life where you wouldn't be forced to confront your own mind. But here's the uncomfortable reality. If you ran away to a different place, with different people and a different routine, you would carry the exact same mind with you. You'd recreate the same habits, the same emotional patterns, the same frustrations, because they live in you, not in the situation. People think changing externals will fix their internal chaos, but it never works. You can move across the world, and your unresolved patterns will still be sitting right next to you on the plane. Buddhism makes this point clear. The present moment is the mirror. Whatever you want to avoid, whatever you don't want to admit about yourself, whatever you try to suppress, this moment brings it out. And your resistance to seeing it is what creates so much suffering. You don't hate your circumstances as much as you hate what they reveal about you. That's why people chase distractions. They bury themselves in entertainment, work, noise, or fantasies about a better future. Anything to avoid the quiet honesty of the present. But the moment you stop running, you start growing. When you allow yourself to see your reactions clearly, without justification or excuses, you gain something powerful: self-awareness. Self-awareness is uncomfortable at first because it strips away all your illusions. You start to notice your impulsiveness, your ego, your cravings, your fears, your tendency to blame others. But once you see these patterns, you're no longer trapped by them. Awareness gives you the ability to respond instead of react. It gives you the space to choose your next step instead of being dragged around by emotion and habit. The present moment isn't an enemy you need to escape. It's the exact environment you need in order to wake up. Everything you struggle with is a doorway to understanding your mind. Every irritation is a lesson. Every challenge is feedback. Every emotional reaction is a chance to become more conscious. When you stop fighting the moment, you start learning from it. When you stop running, you start seeing clearly. And when you start seeing clearly, you gain the ability to transform your life from the inside out. Your present moment isn't exposing your weaknesses, it's exposing your mind, and that exposure is the beginning of real freedom. 3. Resistance creates suffering, not reality. You assume your suffering comes from your circumstances, but that's not actually true. The situation you're in might be uncomfortable, unfair, or far from ideal, but the raw facts of your life aren't what's crushing you. What hurts you is the constant internal argument you have with reality. You refuse to accept things as they are, and that resistance is what multiplies your suffering. Look at any situation that stresses you out. There's the event itself, what actually happened, and then there's your mental commentary about how it shouldn't have happened, or shouldn't be happening to you, or shouldn't be happening this way. That second layer is where the pain explodes. You're not just dealing with reality, you're fighting it. You're demanding that life adjust itself to your preferences, and life doesn't care about your preferences. Buddhism is blunt about this. Clinging is suffering. You cling to expectations, to plans, to how people should treat you, to how your life should go, and every time reality breaks one of those expectations, you act shocked. But reality didn't betray you. You betrayed yourself by insisting it behave according to your script. Acceptance doesn't mean approval, it doesn't mean weakness, and it definitely doesn't mean you give up. Acceptance simply means you stop wasting energy denying what's already true. You face the situation without distortion. From that clarity, you can finally act intelligently instead of reacting emotionally. When you resist reality, your mind becomes tight, anxious, and defensive. You create stories about how unfair things are. You create frustration by replaying what should have happened. You create fear by imagining everything that might go wrong next. All of that suffering is self-generated. The situation is just the situation. You're the one adding layers of emotional chaos on top of it. The moment you drop the mental fight, your suffering decreases, not because the situation magically changes, but because you stop stabbing yourself with your own expectations. Acceptance cuts through the drama and leaves you with what's actually happening. Maybe difficult, maybe inconvenient, but manageable. And once you're dealing with reality instead of your resistance, you become far more effective at solving problems and making changes. This is the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is the raw experience. Suffering is everything you add to it. The story, the fear, the blame, the mental resistance. Pain is unavoidable in life. Suffering is optional because suffering is created in the mind. When you stop fighting reality, the pressure drops. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your emotions settle. You stop feeling like the world is against you and start seeing what's actually within your control. And that shift gives you strength, not the strength to escape your life, but the strength to finally live it without unnecessary struggle. Reality is not your enemy, your resistance to it is. 4. You can only act from where you stand. People waste years waiting for the right time to begin. They tell themselves they'll start improving when things calm down, when they feel more confident, when life becomes more stable, when opportunities magically line up. That mindset is a trap. It keeps you frozen, hoping for perfect conditions that will never arrive. The truth is harsh but liberating. You can only act from where you stand right now. There is no other place to start. Every meaningful change you want, emotionally, financially, spiritually, depends on what you do in this moment, not in some idealized future. If you can't take action when circumstances are imperfect, you won't suddenly become disciplined when circumstances are perfect. That fantasy version of yourself who starts later is just another excuse to avoid facing the discomfort of beginning now. Look at any progress you've ever made in your life. None of it happened because everything was easy or lined up perfectly. Progress happens in real conditions, messy, inconvenient, uncomfortable conditions. The people who move forward aren't the ones with the smoothest path. They're the ones who stop waiting for a smoother one. Buddhism emphasizes this over and over. This moment is the only reality. The past is memory. The future is guesswork. You can't act in either place. You can only act here. But most people waste this moment because they're mentally living in a different one. They dream about a better future while doing nothing to build it, or they replay the past and complain about the choices that brought them here. Both are forms of avoidance. When you finally accept that this moment, this exact set of circumstances, is your starting point, you free up an enormous amount of energy. You stop negotiating with reality. You stop telling yourself stories about how things need to be before you can take your next step. You stop blaming your situation for your stagnation, and once all those excuses collapse, what's left is simple. Either you act or you don't. This isn't about pushing yourself into burnout or pretending everything is fine. It's about being honest. If you want change, you have to start where you are, with the resources you have, with the strengths and weaknesses you actually possess. Waiting for ideal conditions is just another way of avoiding responsibility for your life. When you finally take action from your current situation, something shifts. You begin to see that progress is possible, even when conditions aren't perfect. You build momentum. You build clarity. You build confidence. Not the fake confidence people expect to have before starting, but the real confidence that comes from doing the work anyway. You don't need a perfect moment. You don't need permission. You don't need a cleaner past or a more convenient future. You only need the courage to move from where you're actually standing, because that's the only place anything real can begin. Your environment is your teacher. You keep thinking the people who frustrate you, the situations that stress you, and the challenges that interrupt your plans are obstacles in your way. You assume that if your surroundings were calmer, kinder, or more supportive, you'd grow faster and feel more balanced. But that's wishful thinking. The uncomfortable truth is that your environment, exactly as it is your teacher, and the lessons it's giving you are the ones you need, not the ones you prefer. Every irritation you feel is feedback about your mind. The person who annoys you exposes your impatience. The situation you dislike exposes your resistance. The limitation you face exposes your lack of acceptance. These aren't random frustrations, they are mirrors. If you keep running from them, you keep running from the truth about yourself. You want peace, but you want peace on your terms. You want growth, but you want growth that doesn't challenge your habits. You want wisdom, but you want wisdom without discomfort. Life doesn't work that way. Buddhism points out something most people never want to admit. The experiences you avoid the most are often the exact ones that reveal where your transformation needs to happen. People assume spiritual growth requires a quiet retreat, a calm home, or a stress-free environment. But if you can only stay calm when everything is perfect, that's not calm, that's dependency. The real measure of growth is your ability to remain grounded when things aren't ideal. Anyone can be patient when nothing is provoking them. True patience shows up when something is. Your day-to-day environment is constantly presenting opportunities to develop qualities like patience, discipline, compassion, humility, and awareness. Most people don't recognize these opportunities because they're too busy complaining about them. They think the universe is blocking them, when in reality it's training them. Instead of asking why certain people or problems keep showing up in your life, ask what patterns they're revealing. Why does this particular behavior irritate you so much? Why does this situation trigger you every time? Why do the same dynamics repeat? If something keeps hitting the same emotional nerve, that's not a coincidence. That's a lesson you haven't learned yet. The moment you start treating your environment as a teacher instead of an enemy, everything shifts. You stop taking challenges personally. You stop viewing problems as punishment. You stop assuming life is unfair. And you begin to see that every situation, pleasant or painful, is pushing you toward a clearer understanding of yourself. You don't need a different environment to grow. You need a different relationship with the environment you already have. The people around you, the problems you face, the routines you're stuck in, they're not blocking your path. They are the path. And the sooner you recognize that, the faster you'll develop the strength and clarity you keep wishing for. Your environment isn't holding you back. It's revealing who you are, and that's the most valuable teaching you'll ever get. 6. Nothing in your life is permanent. You talk and act as if the way your life feels right now is how it's going to feel forever. When things are bad, you assume you're stuck. When things are good, you cling to them in fear of losing them. Both reactions come from the same misunderstanding. You forget that everything, every emotion, every circumstance, every relationship, every success, every failure is temporary. Nothing in your life is permanent. And the sooner you understand that deeply, the less you'll suffer. Impermanence isn't a poetic idea. It's the most brutally honest principle of existence. Everything you depend on will change. Everything you avoid will change. Everything you cling to will eventually slip through your fingers, no matter how tightly you hold on. The problem isn't the change itself. The problem is your refusal to accept that change is the rule, not the exception. When something painful happens, your mind panics and convinces you this pain is your new permanent identity. You start believing you're broken, cursed, unlucky, or doomed. But look at your past honestly. Nothing you feared would last forever actually did. You've survived heartbreaks, losses, disappointments, failures, things you once thought would crush you permanently. They didn't. They changed. You changed, and life moved on. That same principle is operating right now, whether you acknowledge it or not. On the flip side, when life gives you something good, you cling to it desperately. You try to freeze it, control it, protect it. That clinging creates fear, fear of change, fear of loss, fear of uncertainty. You stop enjoying what you have because you're too busy worrying about losing it. You mistake attachment for appreciation, but they're opposites. Appreciation allows you to experience something fully. Attachment forces you to grip it so tightly you can't breathe. Impermanence sounds uncomfortable because your ego wants stability. It wants life to stay predictable so it can feel safe. But stability is an illusion. Everything is in motion, even you. Your habits evolve. Your values shift. Your priorities change. Your identity transforms across your lifetime. Fighting impermanence is like trying to stop the tide with your bare hands. It doesn't work, and it exhausts you. Here's the part most people don't see. Accepting impermanence isn't depressing, it's freeing. It removes the illusion that you're stuck. It removes the illusion that you're defined by your past. It removes the illusion that any moment, good or bad, is final. If you're going through a difficult period, impermanence reminds you that this season has an expiration date. If you're experiencing something beautiful, impermanence reminds you to be present and appreciate it without gripping it to death. Impermanence also makes you more courageous. When you understand that everything changes, you stop hesitating. You stop wasting time. You stop assuming you'll have unlimited chances. You act now because you know this moment won't come back. You treat people better because you know relationships aren't guaranteed. You pursue goals because you realize opportunities aren't eternal. Nothing in your life is permanent. Not your pain, not your joy, not your situation, not your identity. Fighting that reality only creates suffering. Accepting it creates clarity, appreciation, and freedom. Impermanence isn't your enemy. It's the force that allows growth, transformation, and renewal. Without it, you'd be stuck forever. With it, you always have the chance to begin again. 7. Awakening starts with accepting reality. People talk about awakening as if it's some mystical experience that drops out of the sky when life finally becomes peaceful or perfect. That's nonsense. Awakening isn't an escape from your life. It's the ability to see your life clearly, without denial, without fantasy, and without running from the parts you don't like. And that clarity starts with one thing: accepting reality exactly as it is. Most people never do this. They spend their lives fighting reality, negotiating with it, or trying to reshape it into something more comfortable. They refuse to see things as they truly are, because the truth is often inconvenient. It challenges their ego, their expectations, and their illusions. So instead, they cling to stories that protect their comfort. Things shouldn't be like this. This isn't fair. My life is supposed to look different. Other people are the problem. These stories might feel good in the moment, but they keep you unconscious. Awakening begins the moment you stop lying to yourself, when you stop pretending your emotions aren't what they are, when you stop insisting people should behave according to your expectations, when you stop imagining that life owes you a certain shape or path. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean you approve of everything or that you stop trying to improve your situation. It simply means you stop wasting energy denying what is already true. When you accept reality, you gain access to clarity. You stop looking at the world through the fog of your desires and fears. You start seeing people as they are, not as you want them to be. You start seeing your patterns with brutal honesty. You notice when you're reacting out of habit instead of wisdom. You notice when you're projecting your insecurities onto others. You notice the difference between your emotional stories and the facts of the situation. This level of honesty is uncomfortable at first because it destroys your excuses. You can no longer blame luck, fate, or other people for everything. You're forced to face your own role in your suffering, but that discomfort is the beginning of real freedom. Because once you see your patterns clearly, you can change them. Once you see the truth of your situation, you can respond intelligently instead of reacting blindly. Awakening doesn't require ideal circumstances. It doesn't require better conditions, a perfect environment, or a stress-free life. It requires presence. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to stop running from the moment you're in. Everything you're trying to avoid, your fears, your disappointments, your attachments, your frustrations, are the exact things that reveal where your work is. Your life is the training ground. Your mind is the material. Reality is the teacher. The moment you accept reality, you stop living in resistance and start living with awareness. You don't become passive. You become effective. You don't become weak. You become grounded. You don't lose control. You gain it because you're finally operating from truth instead of illusion. Awakening doesn't start when your life gets easier. It starts when you stop demanding that it be easier and decide to face it as it is. That's the doorway. That's the path. That's the moment you begin to wake up. You don't need a different life, a different past, or a different version of yourself to begin. Everything you've been running from, everything you've been resisting, everything you've been telling yourself you're not ready for, it's all part of your path. The challenges, the people, the emotions, the setbacks, the breakthroughs, the quiet moments, the chaotic ones, they're all shaping you, exposing you, teaching you. Buddhism isn't asking you to escape your life. It's asking you to finally show up for it. The truth is simple. This moment is the only place transformation happens, not the dream of a better future. Not the memory of a cleaner past. Right here, exactly as things are, exactly as you are. If you stop trying to force life to match your expectations, if you stop clinging to what should have been or what might be, you'll finally have the energy to work with what is. And what is, this moment, this situation, this version of your life, is the doorway to everything you're trying to grow into. You're not behind. You're not lost. You're not supposed to be anywhere else. This is the path. This is the lesson. And this is where your awakening begins.